So, Chris, I was going to wear my Timex or something this morning, but instead I wore my Shinola.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm usually very mean and ruthless to my interviewers, but this made me happy. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm also usually careful about mentioning our underwriters, which I don't, but I did something really cool. They just showed me how to buy something on your Fitbit with Visa. It's kind of cool. So, do you have that? Can I buy like a Shinola bike with my Fitbit yet?
Not yet, but get me to the end of the day and we'll figure out. We offer many different payment services, whether it be kind of Apple Pay, Amazon, PayPal, etc. But we're not on Fitbit yet.
It's sort of a serious question because as you're kind of looking at the kind of broad electronic commerce and the digital world that you're responsible for, Shinola, what is the next coolest thing about how somebody can acquire? Because we've been talking about Neiman and Saks Fifth Avenue and Nordstrom, and with all due respect, they sound so 1950s to me. Nice, but what's the 2020 thing that you're thinking about electronic commerce in Shinola?
I would still say it's through mobile. What that mobile device will look like and do is unbeknownst to us, but we're really seeing how the consumer is shifting from in-store to desktop now to mobile. I think I'm going to get my stats wrong, but something like 80% of all searches happen on mobile, but still it's only in the 35% in terms of sales are done on mobile. And with our price points and our type of product, which are watches, leather goods, bikes, we think that transaction, that converting on mobile will still be a little bit difficult. So we still want to have those opportunities around stores and e-commerce.
I just don't know if you know that if we were to stand up, we're very big guys, and your bikes can handle us. Why is that? Because usually bikes come smaller.
U.S. Steel. Done with our partner.
Are the tariffs helping you?
What was that?
Are the tariffs helping you?
We use Richard Schwinn, who is, I believe, the great-grandson of the Schwinn founder, and we partner with him out of Waterford, Wisconsin. He makes all the frames, and then we assemble them in Detroit. So yeah, they're meant to handle the roads of Detroit. I don't know if anyone's been driving in Detroit recently, but we have our fair share of big potholes. So those bikes need to withstand that durability.
So I don't know if a lot of people, part of it is this discussion today is commerce, part of it is branding and creating mystique. And I don't think a lot of people realize that Shinola started off as a brand for, boot polish, essentially. And I've seen the kind of old cans of Shinola. Right. And I guess both in admiration and in criticism, some people have looked at Shinola as a completely fake authenticity. But I think that's what we all are, right? Not maybe you, but I worry about, how do I manufacture more authenticity today? But, as you think about brand and what you're trying to communicate, what are you, because you're an expert in this, and what do you think the component pieces of that are as you're out there trying to promulgate a notion of what Shinola represents? What are your big three things?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's just understanding the consumer needs. So we looked out in the marketplace, and this is before I joined Shinola, but looked out in the marketplace and realized there was an opportunity to, bring a well-crafted watch using U.S. labor to assemble this, and using Swiss components, which are the best in the business, and providing a great value to the consumer. So we saw that consumer need.
And good leather.
And leather. So utilizing American leather, manufactured actually in our factory in Detroit. So right on the same floor that we work on. And finding that need, and then understanding, okay, what is that authentic story? And the story for us is about job creation, and it is centered in Detroit, but it's not by any means going to only be in Detroit. So for us, that is the authentic story. We needed a brand name, and Shinola, as you referenced, was a often talked about shoe polish company. It was famous for a tagline, kind of post World War II, which I won't quote.
What's the tagline?
You don't know shit from Shinola?
Yeah, we're not on TV.
Yeah,
we're just
I don't
on
know.
Streaming video. We'll hear from the FCC now.
Thank you. You set me up for that one.
Yeah.
So that was available, and it just had a great story to it. And we, by all means, our authenticity is based on the product. At the end of the day, the product's got to stand for itself, and we got to connect with the consumer. The brand name can be kind of anything.
And we've got a store over here on 14th Street. I was just in Waikiki for a week. Stumbled across and said, wow, there's a store here and it's really cool, and there they offer you cappuccino when you walk in, and I had to say, no, I don't want to add to your bottom line. You keep your cappuccino. But you have a lot of brick and mortar. You have a lot of brick and mortar.
Yeah, we're at 26 brick and mortar stores today.
26 brick and mortar stores. Is that something you feel good about, or you want to bring it down to 13 and you'll
I mean, we're always looking at what that right number is.
But isn't there tension between what you want to coax people in terms of your online, your presence, your digital presence, and the need and feel to go to a...
Yeah, certainly. We're trying to figure out that ecosystem of how the consumer journey goes from either from the store to online or online to a store. You know, going back to what I talked about in terms of buying in the next couple of years, we really feel at our price points and the quality of the product that people want to come in and try it on. And whether they come in and try it on our store and then go and convert online, or use online to do research and come in and you know, get that final last confirmation in the store with one of our sales associates, we're perfectly fine with that. We want to create an ecosystem that can go to and from.
Have you thought about a VR store?
A VR store? No, we've experimented with VR a little bit.
Have you thought about a VR store? Wouldn't that be cool? Like you can have like a Shinola experience in your.
I saw Justin Timberlake just did that with his pop-up with American Express. They did this kind of man of the woods thing. Which
oh wow!
Yeah.
So Visa, did you hear that?
Sorry, I realized the end. I apologize.
So a VR. Well, last time you had a VR. Last time we did this with Visa, they had a VR experience, and I think they had Miss Australia. Taking you through some I can't remember it all. I just remembered Miss Australia, but there was something cool going on there. But in that experience, it kind of raises the kind of broad question of what your factors are that you're trying to do and kind of bring people in. But as you think, Chris, about the electronic commerce world, what are the up at night issues that you think about?
The biggest one for us is just being able to connect with that consumer regardless where they're at. You know, this unified customer database, this understanding whether they're online or in our stores, being able to connect with them at the right place at the right time. We don't have, I would say, the depth of capabilities that we'd like. That's going to be our biggest investment in 2018 and into 2019.
What does that mean? You don't.
I mean, CRM.
What has failed?
You know, you can come in and you know, into our stores and have a great customer experience, and they'll have a very fantastic one-on-one there. If you go online right now, we're not necessarily connecting the dots in terms of understanding your purchase history, your likes, dislikes. So
are you going to tell them my story?
What was? Oh, well, we're trying to solve. I'm hoping to get a message before the end of the session to solve your problem.
I don't know if any of you bought this, but they have the world's most beautiful turntables. So turntables are coming back, and it's a they have different woods, but they've got this one, this blonde wood.
Yeah, like a white oak.
Yeah, white oak, gorgeous thing. And of course, during the holiday season last year, they ran out of them. They sold them all. They said, "Oh, we're so happy you like our product, and we will let you know when we have them in stock again." Well, that's the first thing I saw in Hawaii. They had them in stock, and I had not been contacted by Shinola, so I was bitching to him about that. And we
plan to solve the problem before the end of this session here. I got 17 minutes to do it.
So what has been your biggest challenges, you think, about Shinola and its digital life and presence? What do you beyond the customer service piece? What are the
Sure, certainly. I mean, storytelling. You know, back to our story about job creation and you know, kind of telling the Shinola story. You know, we are fortunate enough to have quite a few visitors coming through Detroit. We always invite any of you to come and visit us, and there's always this aha moment when people walk in and see the factory and see people actually, you know, building the watches and leather products by hand. And we sit around trying to figure out how do you bring that experience, that aha moment, whether to the stores or to digital. And we obviously think the easier part will be through e-commerce, because once people understand the story, I think the light bulb goes off in terms of what we're trying to do. And so we're looking at various partners to how do you tell your story a little bit more effectively and efficiently in these kind of bite-size clips, knowing the consumer isn't going to maybe sit around and watch a video for 5 minutes. I mean, we'd love to create this really emotional brand video that could be 10 minutes long, but we know on people's consuming it's very quick.
Is there a human story that pops for you out that you do want to share with us?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, one that we talk about quite a bit is, you know, when we set up shop in Detroit and started building this watch factory, which is on the 5th floor of the College of Creative Studies, which is a college for art students in Detroit. One of the security guards heard about this company was building this watch factory up on the 5th floor and said, "Hey, I want to apply for a job." So came in, trained him how to make watches, and now, you know, 5 years later, he is leading a team of 11 as a supervisor. So, you know, great way to find people that may not have any sort of craftsmanship experience in the past and teach them the skill set to you know, kind of move on and be a positive impact within the company.
You used to live in Amsterdam. Amsterdam. You said you were living in Nike.
I did.
I've been
lived there
reading
for
about your kids in Amsterdam. And I haven't been to Detroit lately, and so with all due respect to Detroiters, has it become cool again yet? I mean, when you told your kids, hey, we're moving from Amsterdam,
I don't know.
which is definitely cool, to Detroit, how did that go?
My wife is probably watching this right now on live stream, and she's probably smirking quite a bit. It was not the easiest conversation. I mean, we moved from living in a canal house on the canals and riding bikes every day to...
That's pretty Shinola sounding in a European way, right?
Well, we do have an office in Amsterdam to help with sales and marketing from a global perspective. But yeah, I mean, it was just this great opportunity to help build something. I mean, Shinola, I worked at Nike before, and it's a company that I'm sure most of you have heard of, and great storytellers, great connection with consumers. And when I came across Shinola and meeting with the founder, Tom Karsotis, I mean, that same emotion was there. I instantly knew that this was a company that had a great story and great product and a way to connect with the consumer. Is something I wanted to take on.
So is Detroit becoming a cooler environment?
Absolutely. I mean,
Does it challenge the canal house environment?
Still getting to the canal house environment, but we've embraced going from bikes to SUVs, from canals to 5-lane roads. Detroit is transforming every day. We celebrate the small wins, whether it'll be the lights downtown coming on full time. I mean, 5 years ago, the street lights didn't even work, completely around the city. We have new restaurants opening up every week. We're partnering with Dan Gilbert of Bedrock to open up a hotel, which will open up in November, which we invite everyone to come and check out. So, everyone is literally rolling up their sleeves and trying to make Detroit a better place.
And for those of you who follow our City Lab channel and City Lab stuff, our big annual conference this year will be in Detroit. Mm-hmm. So I will want to come visit the factory and meet the leather workers. I may need a new band by that time for the watch.
And I promise to have your turntable ready.
So I have a lucky job. I get to go overseas a lot. I never hear about Shinola overseas. So are you failing there?
Not failing. We are. We haven't even attempted to I would say, strike a chord on those. But
tell me, I mean, I was joking with it because I know you're beginning to look at that. But so far, Shinola has been mostly an American story.
Yeah, I mean, our story has been rooted in job creation, which is by no means bound by certain borders. We are, but it has been a Detroit and America story. But at the end of the day, the product can translate anywhere, right? It's watches for your wrist. But
can someone in Shanghai buy the bike and have it shipped over? Do you have any of those problems?
In Europe, we can. We are available in 14 different countries via e-commerce. 3 different currencies. Still not Fitbit over there yet, though.
Okay.
But and then we do have a store in London. And
take Bitcoin?
Not yet. I'm still trying to understand this whole Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It's blockchain. I'm not smart enough for it.
But point is that you do see your commerce growing.
Absolutely.
Because people know Shinola, right? So you could imagine in Paris or Brussels or Amsterdam people wanting to buy the product, but is it prohibitively expensive to distribute globally now?
No, it's just how do we find the right partners to tell our story. So we do have one storefront in London in the Carnaby Street area, but we are also distributed through a handful of wholesale partners. So it's picking those right partners who want to take the time to embrace the story and train their teams to tell the story to the consumer. Because we are not a household brand, and certainly Europe going up against some strong competition with Swiss watch manufacturers and Italian leather goods, just to name a few. But we feel that the story resonates, and once again, it's just finding those right partners and being diligent and taking our time to build it. I've also partnered with a company in Japan, which I spent some time over there with in my Nike days, and the Japanese have a strong affinity to U.S. products in that story, and so we've partnered with a retailer called Isetan. They've done a shop-in-shop for us. So just finding those right partners who can help us tell the story, and being patient and diligent in terms of how we roll out the brand.
So you take yen?
We do take yen.
Good to know. So when you're, one of the things I think is interesting, I know Isetan pretty well, but when you're out there and sort of tell the story, I'm just imagining somebody get back into the theme of today's conference, the global mobile world. And yet what I'm hearing from you is really interesting, is that you need partners to tell your story. It's a much more real-time experience. And it sounds like there's some tension with what a lot of us think is happening in the world with the sort of Amazonization, where every product, every drug prescription, everything is going to somehow be handled by Google or Amazon. You're sort of, I'm hearing from you, you're sort of avoiding that and cutting a different track. And so what are the equities involved on both sides of that? I don't know if I'm communicating it well enough, but I sort of see you're not jumping in to that electronic world of storytelling as much as some.
We have certainly started to explore what it means to be on some of these marketplaces that would allow us to go global much quicker. But the research that I've done and the people I've spoken with, we still have to have a certain brand awareness to kind of jump headfirst in whether it be, Jet.com and Amazon.com, JD.com in China. And so we feel we still have our own legwork to do to build the brand. And I think once we do that and we feel we have the right consumer awareness and the right proposition, those marketplaces could open up to us from a digital and e-commerce standpoint. Right now, we do not have the bandwidth to go and, I would say, create our own mobile or e-commerce experience in all of those countries. It is on our roadmap, but we're still trying to, kind of make sure we have the right. I mean, we'll go into Detroit, and there's still some people who don't know about the brand Shinola. We go to LA and New York, and still telling our story. So we want to make sure that we want to master that area first before really kind of jumping into the global market.
Before I go to all of you, the last thing I've always been interested in a company like yours that has so much. You had built a brand that feels American, that feels authentic, that resonates for certain kind of people. Are you running into a problem with piracy, with people trying to pirate and copy and imitate your product?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's we have not seen. We've certainly seen some gray market in terms of sales on Amazon and so forth, which we try to police. But
so is that from wholesaling to somewhere and then they snake it out?
We presume so, but nothing from a knockoff standpoint.
Is that Neiman Marcus letting it slip out?
I hope not. I can't confirm.
I love Neiman Marcus. I mean, sorry to Neiman Marcus, who may be underwriting the next Atlantic event.
But we haven't seen any sort of copyright infringement or any piracy yet. But I haven't been trolling the underground markets in Shanghai and Beijing lately. So.
And one last thing, what's the biggest difference between selling this product, Shinola product, and Nike shoes and apparel?
One is price point. I mean, we're speaking to a different type of consumer. It's not an everyday purchase.
Have you looked at Nike shoes lately?
I haven't. I haven't. Are they creeping up there? All right. We'll
out of my range.
And I think it's just a different. We're both based off emotion. One is certainly performance and pushing yourself. The other one is more of I would say, a connectivity to doing good in cities with job creation. So I think this is connecting the dots in a different way. But at the end of the day, I think consumers want to connect emotionally to brands. So it's very similar. It's interesting, when I talk to people, at Nike, when I was there, people would be like, oh yeah, I love the shoes or hate the shoes for various reasons. It's great. It wasn't really it didn't evoke a strong emotion. At Shinola, if I talk to people, it's somebody like, oh my gosh, love the brand, love what you're doing, love the craftsmanship, love the story behind it, or it's like, I have no idea what this is, which gives us an opportunity to tell the story and just shows us the pathway and the road we have ahead of us.
So interesting. Thank you. Let me open the floor to you folks for questions and comments. Yes, right there in the middle. Hi.
Bob Peguero with Yahoo Finance.
Good morning.
I was struck by your comment about right now we can't connect the dots between someone who visits your site and visits your store. There was a 30-something tech CEO testifying before the Senate yesterday who received a lot of hostile questions about the concept of tracking people everywhere. How do you connect the dots in a way that makes Steve happy but doesn't creep him out?
Yeah, and why don't you call Cambridge Analytica? No, I'm sorry. Great question. Great question.
I mean, we need to master the fundamentals, as we say. So, there's using companies like Salesforce or other CRM technologies that'll help us, connect with what we have from a POS, which is point of sale software in stores and e-com. So, by no means, tracking them with third-party data, which is a hot topic right now. We're just trying to connect the dots of the data we have that sits in stores in terms of your purchase history. We ask you questions in the store. What do you like? What do you dislike? Because we offer, I think, now 7 different categories, and we don't want to inundate you with. It sounds like you do like all the product, which we like, but we don't want to inundate you with shoe polish emails.
I particularly like that I can get everything with my initials put in it, in your leather products.
Yeah.
And you do that for free. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You get
But so we have, to answer your question, we need to master the fundamentals as having the right software and technology in place to connect the dots so we can speak to the consumer, in, I think, in a more intelligent way. But by no means does that mean going off and looking at third-party data to get to know more about the consumer so we can start to be, I think, more kind of machine learning. We have not invested in AI or machine learning at this point in time. It's certainly on the roadmap to understand how we can use that from a recommendation engine aspect, but it's not there for us today.
Fascinating.
Hope I answered your question.
I mean, I hate to ask what, I mean, when I hear a company like yours talk about AI, how large have you grown already? I don't know how to, I mean, is there a quantitative way to sort of, because you're not a public company yet, right?
We're not, still private.
So what can you share with us that we wouldn't be able to know about your growth? I mean, give us show some ankle.
So I don't know how many people know about it. So we started in 2011, offered our first product, the Runwell watch, which is our most iconic watch in 2013. We're just over 500 employees. I think we've hired in total, somewhere between 500 and 600 employees, of which about half of them are manufacturing based, so actually assembling the watches, the leather goods, et cetera, bikes. The rest of us are kind of corporate overhead in sales and stores. So about 500. Have crept over the $100 million mark in terms of revenue. It's about what I can say there, and seeing great growth in our direct-to-consumer channel, both stores and e-com.
And so how about how do you separate stores from your e-commerce?
What do you mean by separate?
So when I joined the Atlantic with Emily, you may remember this. When we had very, very little in digital ad revenue. I mean, I remember the party we had when our digital ad revenue surpassed what was coming through the print magazine at the Atlantic. It was a huge day. It was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I mean, it seems so recent, but yet so far. But I'm interested, is your e-commerce ambition going to outrun your in-store direct sales? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, subject with what we're talking about with the e-commerce, is this, you suspect that your e-commerce world is going to outrun everything you're doing in the 20 some odd stores?
I would think it will outrun it in certain areas. Yeah. I think
will
it is
you
our
get
fastest.
The credit?
It's our. Will I get personally the credit? No, it's a team effort. No, but it is our fastest growing channel and one that we're spending the most kind of amount of time on.
Great. Other questions, comments? Yes. Hi.
Lisa Delphi-Narati from George Washington University, and I'm interested because you have such a variety of products. Yeah. And what's your branding position of the company? Because I just did a quick look at Shinola, and it came up with, first one came up with the watches, and if I did another search, it came up with bikes. So how do you handle that?
It's a great question.
Did you put bikes in the search function, or just?
The first one that I just put Shinola, it came up with the watches,
right.
And when I put in bikes, it came up with bikes. So I was just curious how you.
Yeah, I mean, as my role in merchandising is to connect the dots between all the product and find that red thread, so we can tell that story to the consumer. And at the end of the day, we view ourselves as a design company designing premium lifestyle products, and the way we look to go into categories is there an opportunity to provide beautifully designed product that are handcrafted and in extremely high quality, and we talk to our consumer quite a bit to understand what aspects of their life that we feel that from a product standpoint and an experience standpoint we can connect with, and so that's led us down the path of watches, of bikes. Actually, the bike was the first thing we came out with.
Really?
We had announced the watch, and I think the bike came to the market right before the watch. And then that led us into leather goods, just understanding kind of, we know.
When did the turntables come in?
Turntables came in last, it was a holiday 2016, came in.
Anybody have one? No. Aren't they, they're nice. I desperately want one. I've been trying to get one.
I have a minute 30. My phone's off, but I'll go try if I. We are getting a nod that we got.
Who do you wake up every day and say, I need to beat that company? Like, who's your rival? Does Swatch give you a headache?
We don't talk about them at all.
Oh, really?
No.
But you have one. There is one there?
What?
No, a rival, someone that someone you want to beat when you get up and then, you're...
I mean, back to, her comment, there are different opportunities within each category, which, does make it challenging, right? There are brands that stick to one vertical that maniacal in terms of R&D and storytelling. You know, we are spreading ourselves out across different aspects to become more of a diversified company, and I think it depends on the vertical. Watches, you know, I think we found a really happy white space in terms of Swiss components, U.S. assembled, great price point, incredible value. Leather, very competitive marketplace, you know, at various price points. So there's certainly well-known brands there, from Kate Spade to Monsieur Gabriel to the high end of Louis Vuitton. You know, we're such a nascent player there. We're just trying to establish our look and feel and connect with the consumer. So.
Well, I want to thank you, Chris, for a great conversation. I also want to compliment you. There's a guy out there in the audience named Tom Fossert. I've known for a long time. He goes to all the cool parties. I had no idea he worked for Shinola until last night. So I don't know if that's a fail on your part or mine, but he is so cool that, I mean, he really does add to that that mystique of Shinola. So you have great people working for you.
We try to find people deploy people in the local markets to connect the dots and help us work with guys like yourself. So
well, ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Hull, Chief Merchandising Officer, Shinola. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.